Okay guys, so I know I said my last video on the Zillakami allegations would probably be the last one I did, but there is more information that came out in the last few days, including a somewhat response from Zillakami himself, although he didn't really want it to come out to the public, it got leaked, as well as somebody else coming out talking about his character, so I want to show you that first, and then I'll show you Zillakami's response to the whole situation, and then after that, there's probably more to come, I'm not gonna lie. So I did show you guys this screenshot yesterday in my previous video, but I do want to talk a little bit more about it because there's now more information that was added on top, so I'm going to read it out one more time. You people are in denial. I used to be a fan of Zilla, but he hit me up in 2022. I was 18 and just graduated high school. Within a week of messaging me, he asked me if I wanted to marry him and gave me his number. Long story short, he would text me constantly, blowing my phone up, calling back to back sometimes. He wanted me to fly out to him, but I would only meet him in New York. Eventually, months later, I stayed with him in a hotel for a few days. I'm not claiming that I was my experience with him only leaves me confident that he's guilty of the shit that he's being accused of. Zilla's mindset seems pretty stunted, probably as a result of being in the public eye at such a young age, and also drugs. Seriously, this guy loves nitrous and that shit will fry you. I watched him DoorDash no less than 8 50-packs. He whines, he's stubborn, he doesn't like hearing no. More than that, he's smart enough to have his fans convinced that his public persona is an accurate representation of his authentic self, but not smart enough to keep it up in private. Smart enough to stick to a legal girl now, but clearly that's a skill that he had to learn. Dumb enough to post what he did on his story rather than staying quiet, because his pseudo-acknowledgement of the accusations only makes him seem guiltier. To anyone harassing Sleazy, that poor girl very obviously did not want to be dragged into this at all, and shame on you for thinking that your parasocial relationship with the rapper gives you the right to declare her as a liar. She has given far more proof of his wrongdoing than anyone else has of innocence. We then have a picture of the two of them together in a hotel room where she says, yeah, straight up, this man got me addicted to whippets, and the Asian fetish shit and Thailand shit is all true. We talked for a whole year, my brother, and he had a girlfriend the entire time. I knew nothing about that, and I know he's a... And then unfortunately after that it cuts off because it seems like somebody's deleting stuff off the Zillakami subreddit, so somebody was able to screenshot it and re-upload it, but the original only stayed up for a couple minutes. We then have another comment from who I assume is the person who was in the original post saying, I think he has a serious addiction and definitely nitrous addiction. When I finally linked him in the hotel, there was literally nitrous cells scattered all over the floor and all over his bed, and like 20 boxes of unused ones. He tried to have sex with me with another tour member, literally in the other bed, and also pressured me into doing whippets after I said no several times. When I finally did it, he literally had his hand on the back of my head and was holding it in my mouth. When I tried to stop sucking in, he said, come on, you can do more. He did this several times throughout the night. He wasn't creepy otherwise, but that part of the interaction really bothered me. After that, we have a picture of him passed out with the whippet bottle in his hand, and I have to say that's a very strange drug to be addicted to. The only other person I've ever heard of who's been addicted to whippets is Steve-O, but if he is doing this type of drug constantly, it probably explains why his brain is so burnt. I then have a Discord message where another person says he actually texted my friend years ago when she was 15, but he did ask for her ID, finding the messages right now. We then have the messages of Zillakami saying ID please. She says, he says, hey, you clear out. Why didn't you believe me? I said I was 18 already. He said making sure though with the happy face emoji. So I guess at least he learned his lesson. He started asking for IDs eventually. But besides that screenshot, there's not really anything more to that story. It's basically somebody who talked to Zillakami a little bit, but it's not another victim added onto the pile. But now I do want to talk about Zillakami's group chat that ended up leaking. So this person, Malik Elder, ended up messaging me and kind of explaining how he got into this group chat with Zillakami and how everything went down. So I'm going to read out his message explaining the situation. But anyways, let me explain. I met someone who was connected to Zillakami, ended up becoming pretty cool with each other, and he put me in a group chat with some people so that we could talk to Zilla about the allegations. Zilla ended up joining and said that he can't say much and was leaving it to his lawyers, which we did respect, and he also told us that he was innocent and hasn't done anything weird. However, when we confronted him about the evidence that was against him, he kept changing the subject out of nowhere and started talking about his car and music. I ended up catching on to what he was doing and realized that he was guilty, especially with the evidence that's against him, so I ended up posting the group chat on Reddit, which pissed off Zilla and everyone else in the group chat. They tried to convince me to take it down and said the group chat is his privacy. As you can see here, the original post was taken down, but people were able to screenshot the conversation. Other people were able to message me, send me some of the screenshots, as well as people sharing them all around Instagram, so basically they've already leaked out and there's no way to put them back in. I usually wouldn't agree with leaking private DMs either, but since they're already out to the public, I figured there's no reason not to to cover them here because Zillakami actually ends up responding to a couple of the allegations. Zilla says lawyer, but I can't speak on anything right now cause, well, lawyer. He says any details that I can give, I will. He says I'm trying to stop my fans from harassing because that won't look good at all. So apparently he is trying to stop his fans from harassing Sleazy Skids, but at the same time he's only doing it to save face, not really because he cares that it's happening, or at least that's what I'm taking from this, but who really knows. We can then see that he starts posting his car to try to get off the topic and not talk about the allegations anymore. Someone then says to him that he should look at it through the perspective of an average fan because it really doesn't look good, and he says wait until the pitchforks are down, then I'll clear the air. Which I kind of understand. You don't really want to put any more fuel on the fire because everybody is out to get him right now, but at the same time people are waiting for a response, and the one that he did put out was definitely not good. But he actually acknowledges that right here by saying I wanted to say my stories were in response to my ex. So basically those stories where he was talking about being in the mental hospital and how he was in the worst mind space that he possibly could have been, and that the girl was actually abusing him, that's what he's talking about right here. He then says somebody was trying to make it seem like Muay Thai practice bruises were actually him abusing her, but I haven't seen anybody come out against Zilla saying that he was hitting on a woman, so I'm not really sure what he's talking about. Somebody then says I've already discussed it, but can we stop harassing Sleazy please? He says I'm in my 8th year making music and communicating with everybody. I know a lot of these messages are out of context, but right now he's talking about Reddit, saying that nobody else is policing on there and it's actually lawless, which doesn't seem to be the case because a lot of stuff has been taken down by the mod team. It's uncertain exactly what Zillakami is talking about here. I have had a couple people message me and say that they think that Zillakami actually has control over the subreddit. Not really sure if that's true or not. I've never seen Zillakami himself actually be on Reddit, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't have some sort of burner account. We then have one final message from Zillakami saying never in all my years have I done anything weird. Maybe I'm a little bit socially awkward, but I'm not a creep. So that's basically Zillakami's response. I mean, he didn't put that out publicly, but that's where he's standing right now. So I know this video didn't really add on a whole lot to the allegations. There's not really anything new coming out against them, but it does talk about a little bit of the fallout that's been happening ever since. So maybe more will happen. Maybe Zillakami will keep talking, but at this point he might want to hold his cards closer to his chest because somebody did end up leaking his group chat, so he probably feels like he can't talk to fans anymore. The person also told me that everybody in that group was pretty young, but there's no way to confirm that right now. I feel like this is going to continue on for a little bit more, but right now it seems like Sleazy Skids is getting ready to go to court. It seems like Zillakami is getting ready to go to court. It's probably going to be a defamation case. I can't really see Zillakami actually going to prison for these charges because they happened so long ago, and when it comes to the law there's a statute of limitations on a lot of stuff. Not to mention there's probably no real proof that that girl will be able to use in a court of law, but with her testimony she might be able to disprove the fact that she's slandering him. I don't know how long it's going to take for everything to go to a legal setting, but as we already know, the court systems move very slow, so it's probably going to be a while before we hear anything else when it comes to the court side of things, if we hear anything at all. But all I can say is that this is a super insane situation, and it seems like almost everybody in the trap metal genre is trying to push Zilla out once and for all, so it seems like he didn't really garner a very good relationship with all of those artists underneath him, but I'm going to speak a little bit more on that later on. But for now, I'm going to close out the video. Thank you guys for watching. By the way, this is actually my second channel. I have another one named Twisted World, which is my main channel, so if you want to check out that one for some more documentary type videos. I also got videos on Xavier Wolf's allegations as well as Ghostmane, and probably more to come on there as well. I upload almost every single day, so yeah, if you want to check that out, go over there and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 16K, that'd be awesome. But besides that, Scarce is signing out, boys.